Let's give another hand to all of our young people. Vare, who read that poem, Prayers, so beautifully. Theo, our platform assistant. And Raya, that was amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So if you haven't noticed, we are celebrating our young people today. And at the end, they will come in and we will do the song with them. And we will bless them, actually. Because also what's going on with young people is school is starting for them, like, quite soon. Like, I think, like, in 2 weeks, which is like, what? Anyway. I know it is. So good morning. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. I missed y'all. I wasn't here for 2 Sundays, which was not my intention. However, I will share some of what's going on in my life because that's the best way to share with you what is my practice and what is showing up for me and how I'm doing what is mine to do in that and how I forget and how y'all remind me. So thank you for that. So the title is Life Finds a Way. And if you've ever seen Jurassic Park, anybody who's seen that movie? Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time. But a line that sticks with me from that movie is Jeff Goldblum says, "Life finds a way." Do you remember that? And it's after we got the amazing bucolic view of the world that they've created, and then it starts to turn ugly, and he says, "Life finds a way." And that's really what is going on for me is when I think about life finds a way, it's right, the divine life that finds a way, knowing everything that belongs to that divine life. It's intelligence and wisdom and joy and peace. Everything we need is within that divine life. However, sometimes I forget that and I'm stuck in that human aspect of it, which is what Theo talks about in Stoicism, right? It's like you can get stuck in that human piece of you and forget, wait, that essence is also in me. And with that essence, I'm the one that finds the way, right? I'm the one that is the way. So that's what I want to talk about today. And everything I just now said isn't in my sermon, so let's find out where I am. Yeah, that's just how it works, right? So let's find out where I can dip right into this. Here's a big piece: is we are working on the Book of Joy. Y'all remember that, right? By Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And what they reflect on is joy in the middle of suffering. And what I love about that is it's not like joy of, hunky-dory kind of joy or call it all joy or whatever that is. It's not this easy thing. Like, they are not saying, oh, joy is so easy. What they're saying is that life happens, right? Difficult stuff shows up. There are difficult situations. We have adversity. And how can we meet it with joy? That's the big work. And the other big work is what they say is like when you have been through the lowest of low in terms of suffering, you are going to feel the height of joy. And that makes sense, right? And what I love about what the Dalai Lama says about suffering is he doesn't even call it that. He says passing through difficulty. Isn't that beautiful? Yes. Passing through difficulty. Rather than, I'm going to camp out right here with this suffering. Anybody do that? I'm really good at that, right? Here's the suffering, and I've just created my little house, and here I am with my mind that can be so hard, because I do thank God for this practice, because I have a very willful, stubborn mind. And I can be very much in resistance, right? Which is not helpful. The idea is to live in non-resistance, to move with life and not against it, right? Not against the stream. We don't have to be the salmon that are trying to get on the other side, which if you've ever noticed, if you've ever been to Seattle to see, it's a hard journey when they try to get to which I can't remember scientifically what happens. But anyway, move through life. Life finds a way, passing through difficulty. That is the kind of joy we're talking about today. And I will find my way in my sermon, I promise y'all. So the idea is, how do we not let suffering be our permanent address? That's the idea. Where do you want to live? Where do you live? Ask yourself that question. Where do I live amidst whatever it is that's going on in my life? And as you know, in unity, and what is so beautiful about it is our thoughts shape our reality. You know that, right? It is part of the new thought movement. And in that movement, the idea is that thought is generative, meaning thought is hopeful or can be. Thought is what we can create our lives when we choose, right? When we're willing. That's the idea of thought. It's called new thought for a reason, right? We are here to think the new thought. It's that simple. It's that easy, except for it isn't always, right? It isn't always. I will just say that. So every Sunday I give you an affirmation, and the affirmation is meant to be a generative thought, something that will support you. So my affirmation for y'all this Sunday comes by way of one, my therapist, and two, Terry Olson. And and it's so amazing, right, how the divine works, because I hear it from my therapist on a Thursday, and then I hear it from Terry Olson on a Friday, because I had already forgotten it by Friday, what my therapist had said to me. I'm not kidding, right? How I keep my job, I'll never know. But, but I will say this. Here's what I have been working with, and here's what I want to share with y'all, is I am sourced and I am resourced. Breathe that in and let's say it. I am sourced and I am resourced. Okay, now let's breathe in again and say it again. I am sourced and I am resourced. And then the third time with even more zeal than you had before. I am sourced and I am resourced. How does that feel? Right? Right? Let's remember. Let's remember while we're here right now that we are sourced and we are resourced. And what does that mean? It means that through the universal energy that I call God, that we call spirit, universe, whatever that is, it means for me that when I feel like something is impossible and I can't do it and I'm too tired, guess what? I'm sourced and I'm resourced. God is my source, even through whatever it is. And I don't have to be stuck in the self of me that says I'm tired and I have no energy. I can say, I am sourced and I am resourced, and let me gently get up and move my way, right? So here's what I want to share with y'all about the book. Here's what we're going to talk about today. Is in the Book of Joy, His Holiness and Dalai Lama are no strangers to suffering and adversity. We've talked about that. Yet, when you look at photographs of them, watch them in interviews, or read books, you can't help but marvel at their joyfulness, right? They approach life with levity. They approach life with lightheartedness. And so I want to share what the Dalai Lama says about practicing joy amid suffering. And then I want to share what has been showing up for me in my life, because hopefully that will help bless you guys. So here's what the Dalai Lama says. He says that much of our unhappiness originates within our own mind and heart. Would y'all agree? Yes. He says much of our unhappiness happens because of how we react to events in our lives, right? It's not the event, it's how we react to the event. It's what we allow the event to have, right? It's what power we give it, which is why in Unity we use denials. We're not denying that reality or that event. We're denying the power it has over me, over us, and affirming there's one power, and that's the life of God. So anyway, what he says is that some thoughts and emotions are toxic and harmful while others are healthy and healing. We know that in Unity. And he says the toxic ones can cause us mental pain, and the healthy ones brings us joyfulness. I'm sure y'all would agree. So what he says is what we're doing is we are constantly working on mental immunity. Now, he says that where it's not going to happen overnight. Those of y'all who practice with me know this, right? It takes time. And I'm sharing with y'all my journey of how I've been on this journey, and yet I'm still practicing. I'm still with you guys practicing all of it. So, he's no stranger to suffering and adversity. And I've shared with y'all that he fled Tibet in March of 1959 after a failed national uprising against Chinese military control, right? I shared that. I shared that he crossed the Himalayas on foot to find safety in India. And that was a hard journey for him. And he set up a government in exile to protect Tibetan people and culture. Now, Tibetan people not only were being imprisoned, but also their books were being burned, so that they would erase their culture, basically, is what was happening. And he continues to live in exile. And so, what I did not tell you about is those that were not able to flee. And so he talks about them. And he says they spent years in Chinese gulags at work camps where they were tortured and forced to do hard labor. He said that some of the ones who have survived said to him that this was a good time to test the real person in their inner strength. Can you imagine? He said some lost hope, some kept going, and education had very little to do with those that survived. He said those that survived because of their inner spirit and their warm-heartedness. Just imagine their inner spirit and their warm-heartedness. So one of them was his friend, and he was there for 18 years, and he shared with him what it was like in the gulag. Again, forced labor, bitter cold, no shoes, hungry because they were not fed. And he says that if you would spit, your spit would just freeze. And he was so hungry that he tried to eat a frozen body, but of course it was too frozen for him to eat. So it was horrible conditions, and he was there for 18 years in those conditions. And he said, he makes a statement that I thought I was going to lose myself. And so Dalai Lama, of course, thinks he's going to tell him a story about, the horrible torture or something. But he says, most of all, I was worried I would lose my humanity. Most of all, I was worried I would lose my compassion for the person who imprisoned me. Can you imagine? That is huge. So those that survived, 20 out of 130 survived, and the reason they survived was their willingness to keep compassion in their hearts. Isn't that amazing? That is absolutely amazing. To move through that suffering and say, this is a practice. This is a practice. This is my curriculum right now. That's unthinkable, right? And so what the Dalai Lama says is that that's a way of passing through difficulty, right? You keep just doing the practice. Buddhists say that whatever it is that we are experiencing, it is impermanent. In unity, we say, this too shall pass, right? This too shall pass. And here's the thing about challenging experiences. We can appreciate them afterwards, right? And the reason is we appreciate them because it's like there's always something we've learned. Would you not agree? If you actually move through that difficulty with compassion, with awareness, with your commitment to your practice, there's something on the other side that's going to be this huge treasure, this huge gem that you will know going forward. Am I not correct in that? I know y'all have experienced that in your lives. I absolutely know it. So here's what he says. He says that on the other side, the idea is to become not embittered, but ennobled. Isn't that beautiful? That the situation not make us bitter, but rather keep us in our nobility and our practice and who we are. Also, in other words, the depth of our suffering can also result in the height of our joy. That is something I'd shared before. The depth of our suffering, right, can also remind you of the height of the joy. Life offers contrast, right? That's exactly what it is. Um, so I want to share what I'm moving through in my life. Mine is not to the magnitude of what the Dalai Lama shared with us about the Tibetan prisoners. His story grows my awareness, right, of the depth of suffering that people in the world continue to experience. And yet, I still want to share what's showing up in my life and my spiritual practice because I believe there's some of it that's perhaps relatable for the rest of you. So, where do I begin? How about with what is my affirmation, y'all? I am sourced and resourced. Let's start with my affirmation. So a couple weeks ago, Theo and I went to the IYOU rally. If you don't know, that is, our teens are called YOU, meaning Youth of Unity. And in Unity, believe it or not, as long as Unity's been going on, Unity has always given care and attention to our young people, which is one of the reasons I've always loved this movement. Our co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, believed that we respect children as they are, and we're there to just draw out the wisdom that they already have, which I believe is such a beautiful way to be with a young person, and what I believe is how we are meant to be with young people, because they have their own intelligence and wisdom about life. And so for teens, what they do is you go to these rallies, and you can do it in your region, and they're weekend, basically, retreats with other teens, and they sing all these fun joy songs, and you're up early in the morning, and you have activities all day, and you go to bed fairly late at night. So it's a lot, and it's fun. So we went to the one in Unity Village, and it started on a Sunday and it ended on a Thursday. Our days began like at 7 in the morning and lights out were 11. So I did this for quite a few days, right? Then we got back, and I found out my mom had fallen, and it was quite a bad fall. So I went to go see her. My sister knows everywhere this is going. I go to see her on Friday, and takes me a while to realize, and I won't go into that story, that she actually needed stitches. But it had been too late for her to get stitches. So there I am. Thankfully, my cousin came to see me, and we decide we're going to go take her somewhere to get health care. She's in assisted living, but there was no one there to take care of that piece at that time. So there we are at 10 o'clock at night, driving around Houston, finding where we can take her, because you know how health insurance works, right? Some place will take you, some place won't take you. Does she have her ID? She's almost 95. No, she does not carry her ID. Y'all know the story, right? Finally get to an ER. She gets seen by somebody, a really nice doctor, wonderful doctor, does what he's meant to do. And here we are late at night, and I'm with my cousin. My cousin and I get together. My husband says it best. You two get together, and y'all equal a negative number. Because because we get together, and all we do is laugh. How anything gets done is beyond me. Nobody knows how to be the adult between the two of us. So here we are with Mom in the ER, midnight, 1 in the morning. She's upset because she wants her nightly apple. She's not eating her nightly apple, yada, yada. Then the doctor, my cousin, just will not stop flirting with him. And I'm like, oh my God, look at yourself. We look awful. Like, why are you doing this? But she doesn't stop. Okay, so anyway, that's that. I stay with my mom for several days in her assisted living so I can take care of her wound. It's kind of a lot to take care of. Not to mention, she will pull it off because it itches, which I understand, but you have to keep it off. But I have a wonderful time with her. She's very silly. She makes me laugh. She called me a ghost because she's like, you just keep showing up and looking at me and my wound, and I'm... Right? So I didn't necessarily sleep because she would even take it off at night. Then I'd have to put it on at night, not to mention the 11 o'clock apple. So you get the story, right? And it's fun, but it's kind of a lot. So then I come to work. We have wonderful work days. And then I go back home, have our board meeting. And thankfully, I say to my board meeting, my sister's done the lion's share of taking care of my mom, and I'm so grateful to her, and I want her to take a break, and I want her to rest, and I truly mean that. And I want to do this, and it's mine to do, and it can be a lot, right? Anybody who's been in this position, it can be a lot. Not to mention, if you have a diva who's a mother, then you know. Add that onto it. We can have a 10-minute conversation about which pairs of pants she wants to wear that day. So, not that I'm anything like that. So, I'm nothing like that, right? So where I'm going with this story is I tell my board, and they are so understand. I said, just give me grace right now, because this is where I am, and this is what I'm called to do. And but then, and I tell myself, Friday is going to be my day. I'm going to rest. I'm going to wear pajamas. I'm going to start my sermon. This is what I say to myself. Lo and behold, life has something else for me, which is that I start getting calls that I need to go show up because my mom needs an x-ray, on the other hand. How do you think I feel at that moment? Frustrated, tired, angry. This is not what I've signed up for. I wanted rest. I've already done all that. I need rest, right? That's all I can hear everything saying. And I remembered I said to Jan and the whole board, I need grace. So I think I'm going to call. And they were meeting. And what has Terry said to me? You are sourced and you are resourced. Exactly what my therapist had said the day before. Not even 24 hours, y'all, and I'd already forgotten. Not even 24 hours. I'm so grateful for y'all. I'm so grateful for us, because that's why we're here, right? To remind one another. When I forget, you remind me. When you forget, I remind you that we belong to something greater, and that greater is within each of us and gives us exactly what we need. So I decide to go. Thankfully, my son goes with me. We go and see her. We get everything in order. Of course, I have to call my sister to get things in order, get everything in order. Her x-ray is going to happen later that day. We go to her room. And of course, my mom and I, we like to drink whiskey together. So we sit. We sit and we have whiskey together, and she's talking and talking and talking. And what do you think she asked me? Hita, why did that handsome doctor at the hospital not give me stitches? How can you not feel joy, right? How can you not feel joy? And not to mention, it was a full circle moment, which to have those moments with your parents are actually quite amazing, because she's talking and talking, and I said, Mom, do you remember when I was a little girl and you used to say to me, can you please be quiet for 5 minutes? She just started laughing, because that's how I was feeling about her. Can you please be quiet for 5 minutes? So the point is, there's joy everywhere, right? There's joy all the time. It's just letting it find its way, right? Letting me be the way to it. So that picture makes me laugh, y'all. So here's what I want to share. This is the conclusion. There are times in my life when I need help with my unbelief. My unbelief that all that is within God is within me, that I have access to all that God is, at times feels elusive. In Mark 9, a father takes his son to Jesus to be healed. Jesus said to him, all things can be done for the one who believes. The father of the child responds, I believe. Help my unbelief. So here's the practice I'm working with right now, and here's what I'm sharing with y'all. I'm saying my affirmation in the silence. I am resourced. I am sourced. And I'm asking the God of my understanding, what unbelief remains in me? Listening to what's being revealed. With each revelation, asking for help. Help me with my unbelief. Help me know that at the very core of me, I am sourced, and I am resourced. We are sourced and we are resourced. And because we know this, we know that life finds a way and we find a way to joy. Amen? Amen. Mhm.